A cold morning in Paris. Thousands of people filled the square. Drums echoed through the streets. Soldiers formed a wall around a wooden platform. At the center of it stood a machine that had already become the symbol of a revolution, the guillotine. And the man about to face it was the King of France. This is the dramatic story of the fall and execution of Louis XVI, a story of power, revolution, and the moment when a nation turned against its own crown. In 1774, Louis XVI became King of France. He inherited one of the most powerful kingdoms in Europe. But beneath the glittering halls and the Palace of Versailles, trouble was growing. France was drowning in debt. Taxes crushed the poor. Meanwhile, the royal court lived in extraordinary luxury, and the people were growing angry. But what no one realized yet was that France stood on the edge of a storm that would shake the entire world. In 1789, the impossible happened. The people rose up. Crowds stormed the infamous prison known as the storming of the Bastille. The event ignited the French Revolution. Suddenly, the power of kings was no longer unquestioned. Revolutionary ideas spread rapidly. Liberty, equality, fraternity, and for the first time in centuries, the French monarchy began to crumble. But here's the twist. Louis XVI was not a cruel tyrant. In fact, many historians believe he was a weak and indecisive ruler, not a brutal one. Yet history often punishes weak leadership as much as tyranny, and events were moving faster than the king could control. As the revolution grew stronger, the royal family tried to escape France, but they were captured and returned to Paris. Soon, the king who once ruled millions became a prisoner of his own people. Eventually, the revolutionary government put him on trial for treason. The charges were shocking. The King of France accused of betraying France itself. The outcome of the trial would determine the future of the nation. And the question that divided the revolutionaries was simple. Should a king be imprisoned, or should a king die? The Revolutionary Assembly debated fiercely. Some argued that killing the king would destroy tyranny forever. Others warned it would plunge France into chaos. But the radicals prevailed. In January 1793, the verdict was delivered. Louis XVI was sentenced to death. For the first time in French history, a king would be executed by his own people. In the morning of January 21, the former king was taken through the streets of Paris. Crowds gathered to watch history unfold. When he reached the execution platform at the Place de la Révolution, Louis attempted to speak. He tried to declare his innocence, but the drums rolled loudly to silence him. Moments later, the blade of the guillotine fell, and with it, the centuries-old French monarchy collapsed. The execution of Louis XVI sent shockwaves across Europe. Kings and queens across the continent watched in horror. Revolutions spread, wars erupted, and France entered one of the most turbulent periods in its history. The revolution that promised liberty would soon descend into violence and political terror. The execution of a king changed the world forever. It showed that power no longer came only from birth or crowns. Power could come from the will of the people. But it also revealed a dangerous truth. Revolutions that begin with hope can easily spiral into chaos. History teaches us that leadership matters. A nation without justice breeds revolution, but a revolution without wisdom can create even greater destruction. True leadership is not about power. It is about responsibility
to the people.